Alright now. Hello there, I'm Scotty. You're not. Sequel-A-Thon 2 is chugging along. And we are on Airplane 2, the sequel, as chosen by Big LT. This is the next day. Not the same day. We had to record 2 videos for his channel yesterday. And then my throat was a little sore from talking, and so I just decided to not do another one. And then I almost forgot to upload my video. Like, oh shit, I gotta upload it, and then did it after we got done recording and everything. And so, because it was like almost right away, I recorded this video, and then we did his 2 videos. And I didn't upload it right away. Don't know why, but here we are. Let me scratch off. They're playing the sequel to the sequel. So, okay, admittedly, like I said, I had never seen this. And the only thing I knew about it was the court case. But apparently, the court case in this movie does not have to do with the events of the first film, which I thought that's what it was. I thought it was going to deal with a court case of something that happened. I thought the whole thing was going to be about a court case. It was going to be like people from the first one coming in as witnesses, what happened. It was going to be gags and stuff, but no. It's literally verbatim the same stuff from the first film. Basically, it's like I can tell you, it's okay. There's a little twist. Okay, first of all, this is set in the future. Okay, this threw me off right away. I put it in. I pushed play, and we're greeted with the theme song. We're greeted with the theme song to Battlestar Galactica, with a crawl that reminds you of text crawl that reminds you of Star Wars, and it starts talking off Mojo about space. I'm like, okay, this is a gag. This is a gag. There's no. It's actually the future. We're actually going to space. There's actually a colony on the moon that they're taking these people in a space airplane shuttle to the moon. And yeah, Ted Stryker has been reprimanded to a mental facility after claiming that there are problems with the shuttle. The shuttle, he was test flying it, and it crashed, and they blamed Ted for it because of, you know, basically like his whole thing at Macho Grande, you know, in the first one, and all that stuff. They bring it up here too, and I don't know if they call it Macho Grande in the first one, but they keep saying it here. So he's been reprimanded to a mental facility where he's watched over by John Vernon from Animal House and Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I probably thought, oh, they were showing a clown. This is before that, though. They have nods to other stuff, but yeah. And apparently he's been reprimanded to the mental facility because they claimed it was his fault that the shuttle crashed. He keeps saying that there's something wrong with the shuttle. They won't listen to him because, you know, of course they won't. And yeah. So I should start off by saying that so the whole plot of this, that the space shuttle there's a space shuttle airplane that's taking people to a colony on the moon. And they get up there, and there's a computer malfunction, and of course Ted Stryker has to take the reins to save the day once again. So I should start by mentioning that Jim Abrams and the Zucker brothers had nothing to do with this movie. They were on board for a sequel, and then they decided they didn't want to do it, but Paramount wanted to do a sequel anyway, without their permission, and so it was pushed along. They got most of the cast, the main players, to come back. You have Robert Hayes, Julie Haggerty, Lloyd Bridges, Jim Stucker, I think, played Johnny. They call him Jacobs here, but he was Johnny in the first one. You know, what can you make it is? Hold on. Use this piece of paper. Johnny, what can you make a hat approach? Pterodactyl? That thing. That guy comes back. One of the jive talking guys from the first one comes back, as well as Peter Graves, who I didn't know was going to come back. One noticeable missing actor not coming back is Leslie Nielsen. He declined to do it because he was doing the Police Squad series, which returned to the Naked Gun film series later. But yeah, so he didn't come back, and so that's like a big blow to it. And so general thoughts. It is basically the first one over again. They're getting on a plane. Ted and Elaine are not together anymore. Ted's been blamed for something, much like Macho Grande, and so he's got to go up into space this time, and he saves this flight from crashing. Down to the fact that towards the end of the film, they bring in someone who's connected to Ted and Macho Grande. This time it's not the Unsolved Mysteries guy. It's William Shatner. And yeah, bet they do a Star Trek joke. Actually, there's a couple of jokes that just feel... First of all, Peter Graves comes back as Over, Captain Over, flying the plane. And there's a part where So apparently the big villain in this is the ship's computer. The ship's computer that is just evil. It starts a fire that kills his co-pilots, and then it releases this toxic gas into the cockpit. And when the toxic gas gets released, it starts playing the Mission Impossible theme song. And then later, when Shatner looks to a periscope, he sees the Enterprise. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Shatner's performance in this is clearly parodying the impression they do of him in Star Trek. He's going way too far with this, and there are some gags, they repeat some gags, like the one gag that keeps repeating is the whole, what's that? And then it's a small thing with wires, that sort of thing. It's like, okay, they keep doing that, and then of course they have Peter Graves. His one gag from the first one where he's talking dirty to a child, that sort of thing. In this movie, I commented when I reviewed the first one that the first one shocked us when we watched it for the first time on DVD, because there's a pair of tits out there, and they do more with tits. I mean, this is rated PG, much like the first one, and while the first one was just random pair of tits running by, they do a couple of gags. Like there's at the airport there is a metal detector and also a X-ray scanner, and when the men go through, it goes when women come through, you can see their tits, and it goes ding, and I'm like, okay, and there's like, they do it like 3 times where you see like 3 pairs of tits, and I'm like, this was PG? Why do people take their kids to this? I can't believe that in 1982 they would. I mean, again, like I stated with, and then there's another one. I think there's one more pair of tits on the flight, I think. So that's 4 pairs of tits. And it's like, it's PG. People think they can take their kids to this stuff. And, it's just, like I said when I reviewed the first one, it's like, I'm not expecting this in a PG movie, but it's like, it's not like there's like an overt sex scene. It's just tits there. But in the first one, it was 1 pair of tits for a few seconds, and they run on with these jokes. And then there was another joke that people bringing their kids probably wouldn't want. There's this girl, young woman, probably in her early 20s, where it starts off innocent enough, where she's with this guy, and she's like, it's just after they find out that the ship's gonna go down with her. She's like, I know we don't know each other, and but I've never been with a man, but I don't know if we're gonna survive this. I've never been with a man before. And then the guy turns off the lights, and so yeah, that was funny. But then they take it a little bit too far. The next part, they do it again. They go back to her later, and she's talking to this one guy, another guy sitting next to her, and she does the same line. I'm like, okay, and then follows this line, which is much like punching that one lady in the lady in the first one. Here, there's like a line just waiting to, basically do a run on her, run a train on her. That is, run a train on her, and then that wasn't enough apparently, because they do it to gag one more time, but this time it's a horse, and then they're not done yet because they cut back to them smoking. The whole thing after sex, you smoke a cigarette type thing. It's like, okay, we get what you were implying. Like, you took it too far. The first time it was funny. The rest, no. Speaking of things that were funny the first time, Johnny, or Jacobs, he was one of the funniest parts of the first film, along with Leslie Nielsen. But here, I don't know. First of all, he plays two characters, and at first I thought it was just Johnny being a stenographer, but apparently it's a different character because he's wearing a hairpiece, and here he's the same character, Johnny, or, Jacobs. He keeps calling him Jacobs. I don't know. But, yeah, I don't know. It's just not as funny. When they try, it's like, I've said this before, it's like when I record a review, and everything just works so well the first time, but then something happens and I have to re-record it. Everything I do the second time is not as good as it would have been the first time. And so they're repeating jokes from the first one. It's just not as good. Like, they do the drinking problem joke with Ted, and it's like, seen it in the first one. And this is probably the example people could point to when they say that, some movies shouldn't have sequels because you're just retreading things over and over again. This is the biggest one. It's basically the same plot, only they're going to the moon, down to there's someone that used to work with Ted, and that was with Ted in Macho Grande, even though he said that he was only a survivor in the first one, and they even say that here, and he survived. They even say that. So I don't know. I didn't expect much going into this because I don't hear a lot about it. But I'm going to give it a middle of the road because there's still some good things. The actors do a good job. This comedy, a lot of the comedy just missed for me. I'm sitting there going, rolling my eyes at a lot of this stuff. Like there's a joke. Okay, here's one joke that you couldn't do today. There's scene of people reading magazines, there's summer magazines. You get to this priest, and he's reading an altar boy magazine. You could not do that joke today. No way. No way. There's no way you get away with it. I didn't. And the reason that Ted and Elaine aren't together anymore because he's in a mental hospital and she's married to some other guy named Simon, who you think could be like the third lead in this movie, but he's basically a throwaway character. You took him out, wouldn't be necessary. Like, he's just there. You could replace his character with just another airport attendant. And not even and you can mention she's a marrying guy named Simon, but it ends with them getting married, with Ted and Elaine getting married. So I don't know. And then, as if there's a post-credit stinger where it comes up, coming soon from Paramount Pictures, Airplane 3. And then it cuts to Shatner and he goes, that's just what they'd be expecting us to do. Which I think is a very Star Trek line. And I'm like, come to find out, So come to find out, they were planning on making an Airplane 3, but they didn't because Robert Hayes refused to do it. And apparently he later said he regretted that decision and they should have done a third one. I'm glad they didn't. For one, I don't have to cover it now. And for two, if they just copy and pasted everything into this one and just changed a few things, how bad would have the third one have been? How, maybe, because the rule of thirds, especially in the 80s, a third sequel was notoriously bad. Look at, some of the third ones that came out there. Beverly Hills Cop 3. I don't think it's that bad, but when in the 80s and 90s, the third film is bad. Friday the 13th Part 3. Okay, that's not bad. And Nightmare on Elm Street 3, not bad. Halloween 3, still not bad. All the people didn't like it in the 80s, but still. Wait, where did that rumor come from that 3s were bad? I don't know, but I don't know. I mean, by 1997, sequels were known to be inferior films, although there were a lot of good sequels at the time, such as T2 and Aliens, both James Cameron films, but still. And, yeah, I don't know, but for a third Airplane sequel, or a third Airplane film, excuse me, I don't know. But part of me, small part, makes me wonder what that would be like. It probably would just be retreading stuff again, but I don't know. I'm impressed with the amount of people they got back to come to this. I thought maybe Robert Hayes and Julie Haggerty were the only ones that come back, but you get Lloyd Bridges and Jim Stucker and everything. Even Peter Graves shot me. Like, Peter Graves, really? And then when they're like, we have someone from the flight, I'm like, who's it going to be? Clearly, this was probably meant to be Leslie Nielsen's role at the thing. We got someone from the flight who can give us his account. And it would have fit for him to be in it, because I don't think that he could have been anywhere else in the film, except for maybe a gag. Like, have him there, right? You could have him come in and film a couple of scenes. That's it. Film this scene as he's the one that's there. It's one of the jive talking guys is the one that they're talking to in the chorus room scene. But you have him go in there and do a couple of gags, and then him not be in the rest of the movie until they're ready to do the thing, and he pops in and goes, "Just want to let you know, we're all counting on you." Or even funnier, wait till after it's done, after they saved the thing and it crashed, and he pops in, "Just want to let you know, we're all counting on you." That could be funny, but they got one of the jive talking guys that made me laugh. I'm like, one of the jive talking guys? I'm Jack. You know. But, yeah, it's still in the middle of the road. But, so what are your thoughts on Airplane 2, the sequel? Let me comment below. Like, share, and subscribe. We need to figure out the next sequel. I think I already have it figured out. I had it open, because I was putting the comic book movies back together after I had to do my haul video. I finally put those back. Time Cop 2, I think. Wait. No, that's not the right pile. And I already did Time Cop 2. Okay, so it's down here then. And I think... Yes, I think we're going to do Fright Night 2. A sequel to the remake. And I'm interested to see how they do it. It looks like they got Jerry's sister back. They're doing a Jerry's sister thing again, like with the first sequel. So we shall see. See how different it is from the original sequel. So that is next. So thank you for watching. I'm Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.